There's a story about a student who lived alone in a small hut at the edge of a monastery. Every evening, the other monks would gather for meditation in the main hall, where the teacher could see them. But this student stayed in his hut, practicing in solitude. One night, a senior monk passed by and saw through the window. The student was sitting perfectly still, back straight, breath quiet, even though no one was there to witness it. The senior monk mentioned this to the teacher, who nodded slowly. "That," he said, "is the only practice that matters. Anyone can sit well when they're being watched. The question is, what do you do when you're alone?" We go through life performing, not always consciously but constantly. We act one way in public and another in private. We're polite when people are watching, patient when it serves us, honest when it's convenient, and there's nothing unusual about this. It's human nature to adjust our behavior based on who's present, what's at stake, what we might gain or lose. But the spiritual path, the ethical path, the path toward becoming someone of substance, asks something harder. Do what's right even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one is watching, even when there's no reward. This is the real test, not the grand moral dilemmas, not the moments when everyone's eyes are on you and your reputation hangs in the balance. Those moments clarify themselves. The pressure makes the choice obvious. The real test comes in the small, private moments when you could cut a corner and no one would know, when you could avoid a difficult conversation and no one would blame you, when you could take the easy path and the world would keep turning. It's the moment you're alone and you feel the urge to scroll instead of finish the work you said you'd do. No one will check. No one will know if you half finish it or put it off until tomorrow. But you know, and the choice you make in that moment isn't just about the task. It's about who you're becoming. Are you someone who keeps their word, even to themselves? Or are you someone who makes exceptions when it's inconvenient? It's the moment in a relationship when your partner isn't there and you feel irritated, maybe even justified in saying something sharp when they return. No one else will hear it. It might even feel good to release the tension. But the choice you make, whether to speak from reaction or pause and speak from clarity, shapes the relationship more than any public declaration of love ever could. Because this is where trust is built or eroded, in the unseen moments, in how you treat someone when the performance is over. It's the moment at work, when you could take credit for something you didn't quite do, or blame someone who isn't in the room to defend themselves, or let a mistake slide because fixing it would require effort no one asked for. These aren't dramatic betrayals. They're small compromises, but they add up, and over time they become the texture of your character. The Confucian tradition speaks of Shen Du, watchfulness in solitude, the practice of maintaining integrity even when no external eyes are present. It's not about moralism or rigid self-control. It's about alignment. It's about closing the gap between who you are in public and who you are in private, so that there's no split, no performance, no mask to maintain. You become the same person in every context because your actions are rooted in something deeper than external validation. This is hard because discomfort is part of the equation. Doing the right thing often costs something. It costs ease. It costs comfort. Sometimes it costs approval or advancement or the satisfaction of giving in to what you want in the moment. And when no one is watching, there's no external pressure to bear that cost. There's no applause waiting on the other side. There's just you and the choice and the quiet knowledge of what you did. But that quiet knowledge accumulates. Every time you choose integrity over convenience, you're reinforcing something inside yourself. You're building a foundation that doesn't depend on external circumstances. You're becoming someone who can be trusted, not just by others, but by yourself. You're proving in the only way that matters that your values aren't just ideas you talk about. They're commitments you live by. And the opposite is also true. Every time you compromise when no one is looking, you weaken that foundation. You learn that your word is negotiable, that your principles are conditional, that who you are depends on who's watching. And over time, this creates a fracture. You stop trusting yourself. You can't rely on your own actions because they shift depending on context. And that instability, that inner inconsistency becomes exhausting. The Zen tradition doesn't moralize about this. It just points. Your life is made of these moments. Not the big decisions, not the public victories, but the thousand small choices you make when it's just you. Do you do what you said you'd do? Do you show up the way you want to show up? Do you act from your values or from convenience? The answers to these questions repeated over days and months and years, become your life. They become you. This doesn't mean perfection. You'll fail. You'll take the easy path. You'll compromise when you wish you hadn't. But the practice isn't about never failing. It's about noticing. It's about recognizing the moments when you're being tested, not by someone else, but by yourself. And in those moments, choosing to act from integrity, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one will ever know. Because you'll know. And in the end, that's the only audience that really matters. Not for the sake of pride or self-righteousness, but because the person you're becoming is shaped by what you do in the dark, in the silence, in the unseen corners of your life. That's where character is forged. That's where the real work happens. The student kept sitting in his hut, night after night, even though no one came to check. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was just keeping his practice, honoring the commitment he'd made to himself. And in that quiet consistency, something solidified, not a performance, but a life. If this resonates with you, following the channel helps me keep creating. But if not, that's completely fine. Thank you for being here. See you tomorrow in the next episode. Have a calm and peaceful day.